Oh, good evening and welcome to Be More Super Live. Dan, what is that face as we came on screen? Was that a surprise face or?
I used to really enjoy that upbeat, cheesy, catchy music we used to have in the waiting room. The one that went, "Live your life until the morning," and I was
So
like,
you
"Yeah,
know it.
this one is very dramatic. It
What, do you
makes
want
it
me to
sound like
change it?
something."
I
I don't
could
know.
put something nice on. I mean, obviously for copyright, I can't put any like, I don't know, Billy Joel or a bit of Elton John. I mean, it's up to you, mate.
Well, I tell you what, about 20 years ago, I used to DJ in a strip bar in an old life, and a mate of mine came in and he said, "Can you play any song you want?" I went, "Yeah." So he wrote a song called "The Ballad of Dan Fudge," and it's genuinely hilarious. There's some esoteric in jokes in there. Don't get me wrong, but we could probably get away with that.
Well, maybe one week we can have that. But do you know what? We're really in for a treat tonight. And I've been
Yeah,
so excited about this live show all week. But just to give a shout out for our live show for next week. So next Wednesday, join us because we've got Sonia Valga on the show from Lost for All Mankind and her
it's
new
not
film.
Penny's boat. It's not Penny's boat. It wasn't her boat, Brian. And everybody died, and we
The
all
thing is,
cried.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I've never watched Lost, so yeah, we've got that to look forward to live next week from 8 p.m. So please join us there. But you know what? There's been a show that I've been binging, and you know what? It's just one of the most epic shows on our screens. And if you're into westerns, this is definitely the one for you. It follows the life and times of Billy the Kid, William H. Bonney. It's an awesome show, and we've got one of the stars with us to not only talk about that, but the rest of her career. So let's get her on the show. It's the awesome Lisa Chandler. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for
Another
having
one,
me.
another guest that makes me and you look like an absolute foot. Can we get some uglier people on this show, Brian? Can
I know.
we?
Tell me
You know
about
what I
it. Do you know
mean?
what? I was only mentioning it today that it's like we should change our show and call it Beauty and the Beast. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
The Beasts.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? It's sort of we're not doing the British public any good here.
Really
We
not.
need some sort of filters. But do you know what?
Yeah.
It's so amazing that you're on the show because not only do I love Billy the Kid, the series, but I want to explore a bit of your stunt work as well because I've got such a passion for the stunt community because it fascinates me, and I've got a lovely collection of mementos from different films from the stunt department. So I've been like gifted loads of stuff, and they're in my wardrobe. I'm not allowed them out. My wife said I'm not allowed. So I've got them all safe in a wardrobe. But first of all, how did you get into this crazy industry? Because, you could have had a 9 to 5 job. You could have been relaxing, putting your feet up, but you've opted for the complete opposite.
See, the 9 to 5, putting my feet up murders my soul. I can't quite do that. I've tried a little bit of it, but I can't. But how I got into it, I gotta say the music at the beginning, guys. Chef's kiss.
Very
I really like
dramatic. It's
it.
very.
It's
I tell you what it is, Lisa. It feels like it's building up to something like something's
This
going
is
to happen, and then it's me and Brian
yes,
going, "Are you all right?"
yes, yes. Yeah, good choice. Basically, I started out acting, then got into stunts, mixed that with like the acting, went kind of full blown with that, and then kind of got back more full tilt into the acting again.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a mishmash of the two. But I did first start acting, and then further on down the road, got into stunts. I had no clue about stunts, honestly. This isn't something
Was there a point where you kind of fell down some stairs and went, "Hey, I'm okay. I didn't die when I fell down those stairs, so I can do stunt work now."
That's what I used
No,
to do.
I have some friends that were like, I want to be a stunt man. This is my goal. I had no clue. No clue. I literally didn't think anything of it. I was actually playing women's hockey out in Calgary, and a film was
Take
being
a beating.
shot locally there, Calgary, Alberta, and they needed a couple hockey players to stunt double this, basically this female hockey team for this movie. So they kind of asked our coach, hey, like in between games and practices, are some of your players available? Blah, blah, blah. Did that. Didn't even think about it. Didn't even have a clue really what stunts was. I was just more like on the ice playing hockey. Cut to me being in Toronto, figuring out my life in my 20s, acting, auditioning, doing short films and background and everything in between. I moved back out to Vancouver, and I basically am doing stand-in work. And then they needed a scuba diver, and I had about 5 diving tickets. And somebody said, "Oh, you should put your name forward for this." And I was like, "Okay." So I kind of built like a little resume, and then I got one gig, and it was on season 1, episode 3 of Once Upon a Time. I think it was episode 3. And then it just kind of snowballed. And then I just kind of trained more and more and got more tickets and more training and martial arts. And yeah, and then it just kind of worked into like a going on like 12-year career.
Wow. I mean, the stunt world has been very male dominated
Yes.
through the years, to the point where I still can't believe that men actually dressed up as women to do
Oh, they did.
stunts. Which I think is disgraceful, because we've got some amazing stunt women dating back to the 50s and 60s. So how has the industry changed? Because we're seeing more prominent females taking lead in films and TV shows, and rightly so. So how's the industry changed from, for you as a female stunt performer?
I feel like it's changed in a way where we're being given more opportunity. There's way more female stunt coordinators now than there were 10, 15 years ago. So we're just being given this platform now, not because it's a box to check, but because we actually can do the work. We know how to do the job, by we meaning women. So it has shifted into a positive way for sure. There's also more movies where there's more female leads that are action, where they need a double that's female. It's not just all Jason Bourne. You know what I mean? There's the female leads that are, kicking ass too. And they need doubles. They need, female stunt performers in the background. They need movement. They need people, civilian type people to hit the ground. So scripts are also changing, which is a good thing.
My favorite one is I don't know if you've ever seen it, in Dirty Dancing. And there's a point where Jennifer Grey gets replaced by literally a bloke in a wig. And it's the worst wig you've ever seen, and it looks like one of those Donald Trump toilet brushes. They've taken the hair off one of those, and you think, why don't they just? They're only in a car. They didn't need a stunt driver for that. It was a stunt passenger. But absolute beauty. Now, in the background, Lisa, we can hear your dog. Can we pick up the dog? I'm gonna need to see the dog.
He's a border collie. He's pretty big. He's just he's annoying when he knows people are on the other end, and he's just like, guys, just let me have some screen time. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Dan.
I would, but he would just whine because he just wants to be here. I'm so sorry.
I just want to see the
I took his collar off so you don't hear the jingle jangle, but it's really.
Bless you. Do you know what, Dan? I'm glad you mentioned the noises, because I could hear him in the background as well. So for everyone watching, wondering what those noises were,
Lisa's not showing us the dog. She's being really tight with the dog viewing.
Okay,
we're all very upset about it. Quick, Brian, pad while she's getting the dog. Oh, look at the dog!
That dog really doesn't want to be on camera.
Do you know, Lisa? Look, I know you work in stunts, and I know your body can take some hammer. But my apologies if lifting up that massive dog has put you back out.
I'm fine. I don't think he likes it.
Oh, bless. But talking about safety, I mean, as a performer in the stunt world, how has safety come along over the years? Because people don't realize how dangerous it can be, but there's a lot of precautions being put into place and technology. I mean, how safe are stunts now from a performance point of view?
100%. There's been adjustments for rigging, which is like a big part of what we do. Practice, trial and error, going over and over and over again. Just the technology with capsons and wire work, it's just shifted. Then it's changed just in the past 10 years. I'm sure you've seen the cover of Fall Guy, the poster. Yeah. So he's wearing a harness. That's what we wear when we're doing most of our stunts where you have to get pulled or ratcheted. So That hasn't changed a whole lot. There's a main company based out of Las Vegas, Clemens Suture, that makes them. They haven't changed a lot just because they don't need to. They've got it kind of dialed down. But as for safety wise, we just practice and rehearse over and over and over. And we have the time. There's a little bit more money sometimes. Sometimes there isn't money, but just overall, it has gotten a lot more safe. And also, we don't need to like do the car hits anymore where the person's almost knocked out. Like you practice and train. We have mats that you can just, throw it on top of the windshield, and you can just like do it over and over again, slowly remove it, do a thinner mat. Before, it was very hard, very aggressive. But those were different times then where, you're kind of fighting for your meal, you're fighting for your airtime, you're fighting for your screen time, where now it's just more, it's just a little bit more gentle on the body, I want to say. Still got to work. Still got to fight for it.
I mean, do you feel that the introduction of CGI and special effects, do you think that's going to affect the stunt community? Because now, they can now put a person wherever they want with all this AI and all that jazz.
This was a big conversation during the SAG strike, actually, about the whole AI, pro con. I do think that it's going to add value to a film for sure. But I don't think personally in my career time, it's going to eliminate stunts. People love practical stunts. It is what it is.
Yeah,
You get more enjoyment
I was
out of
going to
it.
say there's a switch the other way now, isn't there? Because since
100%.
Jurassic Park came out and shown us something we've never seen before,
Yeah.
there's a period of it, like,
I just was watching Beverly Hills Cops #1.
yeah,
Practical stunt. The opening scene, there's about 7 car hits.
yeah,
You can't replicate that.
It's way like that because after Jurassic Park, the next 20 to 25 years, each movie kind of looks like a cartoon a little bit. You don't really feel the pain. It's kind of ruined horror movies specifically, I think. I think the practical effects, in horror movies specifically struggle. But like if you look at movies like, there's a lot of fun movies coming out now because the cinema industry needs a lot of attention post-COVID. There's a lot of focus now on making sure that the movie's either an absolute epic masterpiece or it's fun. And like you look at movies like Roadhouse and The Fall Guy and things like that, and you're looking at it going, I'm actually just having fun watching this movie. This is great. And it's not been over CG'd, if that makes sense.
Yes, correct. There's some movies that use the CG for sure, like the superhero stuff. And here, fair enough, that's a franchise, and that's what they're built off of. And they look great. They do it. They have a budget for it, and it looks great. But then there's some movies where you want to have a nice wide shot where you can see the action. It's not a cut. That that's a practical stunt, and audiences can really tell a difference. You can tell when it's like, I'm being specific, but when you're shooting certain coverage, certain angles where it's just really, really tight, it's not the person, it's a double, which is great. It's a great job for us. But it kind of takes away that, Hollywoodness of making it look as impact, you know what I mean? Like as hard as it is in a nutshell, if that makes any sense. So I think that we're kind of making a shift and we're going back to the practical stunts. We're going back to different angles that we used to shoot in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where after kind of like what you said, Jurassic Park, it kind of made a shift to the CG world. I do think having CG looks great in certain films. I do think it adds, but we're also changing camera angles. Like we're having stuntmen operate a camera on a line going down in a whole oneer. We can do now passing the camera off into the car and having a car chase all in a beautiful oneer. Like that's amazing. Like you can't, you know what I mean? So there's things like that. And then you can incorporate some CG flashes here and there. But I don't think stunts is going to disappear.
No.
Good.
You know what I mean? I don't want to say yet, but I don't think it's going to disappear in a way of, it's going to be all CG for stunts. No, I don't agree with that. No, I think it's going to be kind of hand in hand.
I mean, out of all the stunts that you've done in your career to date, has there been a specific one that's really shook you afterwards? Like where you had to take a deep breath?
Get your bell rung.
Oh, wow. You nailed it actually on the deep breath. So it's funny. People say like, oh, what's this, scariest one? Sometimes it's the most calm ones that can go sideways that are like, oh, damn. Okay. For example, you mentioned breath. I was doing an underwater um, underwater shoot, doubling Charlize Theron on in a tank, and we had a car basically upside down, flipped, submerged in water. And what I was supposed to do is I had a spare tank in the passenger seat, so I'm basically upside down, holding onto the wheel like this, feet are this way, and I had the regulator in my mouth, and the windows are up. I'm supposed to take my last breath, take the regulator out, pretend that I'm like kind of knocked unconscious, and then somebody's supposed to swim to the window. But what happened was that I totally forgot about was because I was upside down, I was not supposed to flip the regulator. So every time I took a breath, I was taking in water and the windows were already up. And so I was like trying to like mentally think, okay, take one more breath. Maybe the air will kick in because I have to spit out the water. But I was like slowly like filling my lungs with water. So it's like a calm state like that where I was like, okay, be calm. I have literally no air. I'm just trying to get rid of my CO2. So then I'm tapping on the window for my safety diver to come. So I'm doing this as our signal for air. And so he's coming. And it was just like a matter of like, you got to be cool, calm, and collected. So it's like little things like that where it's like gases and stuff that you're trying to work in, and there's elements of water. It's little things like that that can kind of, I don't want to say go sideways, but it can make you really think in the moment of being woosah.
Good Lord. I'd have panicked. I'd have been kicking windows in. I'd have been, get me the hell out of here.
And there's like fire things, where, you're like, oh, wow, that was a bigger explosion than we thought. But it's when it's like calm, quiet, something like happens where you're like,
no one
okay.
can hear you scream underwater. No one knows you're drowning unless you're doing something to say, hey, I'm drowning.
I wasn't drowning, but it was more like the sense of like, okay, this isn't working. Okay, I got to take this out. And I got to get out of here real quick. So it's like little things like that.
That sounds scary. But is there a stunt that you would absolutely refuse to do, that you would say, hell no, I'm not doing that?
I don't want to talk myself out of a job, but
listen, if it's sex scene with Tom Cruise, you're allowed to say it's on this show. You know what I mean? Okay.
I lived outside Toronto, and we had a thing called Canada's Wonderland, and I loved a thing called the drop zone, and you're really, really high, and they just drop you. I don't mind heights, but there's a point where I'm like, I think I'm good. So anything where it's, I would say over like 60 feet, 70 feet, I'm okay. I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'll pass.
Wow.
But even though it's safe, even though you're harnessed up and everything like that, I mean, talking about mentally preparing, I mean, how do you mentally prepare just a few moments before you actually do a stunt? Do you have a ritual? Do you go through something in your head? I mean, what does the process look like?
If I'm on a line, which is very, very thin, I want to show you, like, here's my sunglasses. Like the line is like literally like this thin. Okay. You're hanging 60 feet in the air. I'm literally looking at my mates down below who are working the line, who have it on a capstone, who's like breaking from me. And I just keep eye contact on them if I can, or if I'm upside down, I just like, I connect with them on a soul level. And I literally just I pray to the universe, just keep me safe, please keep me safe. I have like kind of a ritual of what I say, please keep me safe, you know what I mean? And then,
That's amazing. I tell you what, actually, I never get to ask him this type of thing. What about you, Brian? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you think about what you like with heights, because the ride that Lisa describes there, I'm okay with. We used to have one in Skegness that we used to go on called the Volcano. I don't know if you remember. But since that was in an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Dee gets she braids her hair and gets caught in the mechanism at the top and it rips out of her head. Right? That's put me right off that ride, getting something caught in there. But like, I'm all right with heights and the little tiny wires. It's the underwater stuff. The fire I could do all day. The underwater stuff, I'd be like, no. What about you?
Thing is, heights. I did the world's highest bridge swing in South Africa,
right?
And literally,
you did that?
Yeah. And I waited for a few people to do it before me to make sure it was safe. But when I arrived, they did bungee jumping as well. And I saw them test the lines out, and literally they had bags of sand and they threw it over the side, and then it hit the floor and then they shortened it a bit and then did it again,
Yes.
and that's how they tested it out. But when I did the
Yes.
bridge swing,
I
that wasn't
understand.
the most dangerous part. The most dangerous part was after they take the harness off you. You've got to climb out the sort of the valley. So I climbed up to the top. You had like rope and you had ladders, and then right at the top there was a big sign saying "Beware snakes." And if I knew that, I wouldn't have done it because I am terrified of snakes, absolutely terrified. So forget potentially dying in a bridge swing. I could have been
Yeah.
bitten
Yeah.
by one of the most poisonous snakes in South Africa
If
for
it just
all.
comes out and just gets you, like
I know,
I love the
just
idea
as
of
I get to the top.
yeah. I survived. I did it.
How was the swing though? Was it?
Oh,
Did you have
it
a
was
blast?
awesome. You free fall for, I don't know, a couple of hundred feet, and then you've got a part bungee to it, I presume, to take that sort of slack off. But the swing
Right.
was amazing. I want to say that I didn't say any rude words as I was swinging, but that harness was so tight, and as soon as
Oh
it
yeah,
took my weight, it
soprano.
went places I didn't want it to go. So I envy anyone that wears harnesses because it's not comfortable at all.
Is this before or after you had your daughters, Brian?
This is before, which I'm quite amazed at. To be
Well,
fair,
you know,
they've
at least
turned
we know,
out very well. You know,
we're doing all right. The boys are back in the barracks. We're all right. We're all anyway.
And-
Lisa, what about
and-
you?
and
what you like
talking
mistakes?
and talking about my daughters, Lisa. We're going to go on to the next subject. My daughters are called Lois and Cara, and the reason for that is because I'm a massive Supergirl
Nerd.
and Superman
massive
fan.
nerd.
So yeah, I am a massive nerd. We met Dean Cain that played Superman, and he kept on calling Kara, and I was like, no, it's Kara. It's Kara. We say Kara in the UK. So I've got to give a shout out because you worked on Supergirl and you've doubled so many characters on that show. I want to bring a picture up here. So here you are here on screen.
Right.
How cool is that? You literally can't tell the difference. What was that experience like working on that show? Because it was such a stunning show, and when it ended, it broke my heart. It really did.
Yeah, no, it was great. There's Kyler there. Oh, she's a doll.
She's
Yeah, no,
jacked.
I had
Is that
fun
jacked
that.
in real life? Like, is she mega jacked? Like, you wouldn't want to arm wrestle her, would you?
She's strong, honestly. I gotta give it to her. She's strong. She did a lot of her own stuff. Like I was there, like I did my stuff, on second unit for certain stunts, but she had an attitude of just wanting to do it, which was great. So when you have that partnership with an actress that you're working with, that just are like, no, let's do this. I want to throw me in, coach. Let's work on this together. It's always like a dream. So yeah, shout out
And
to
then
her. So she's
you did Dreamer as well.
Nicole. Nicole, yeah.
Again, a great character, absolutely fantastic. I've been trying to get Nicole on the show for ages, and I need to keep on trying. On the show, the show is very action orientated. This is what I like about it, and what I like is that this show, I don't know what the budget was like, but it always delivered every single episode. What was it like stunt wise, and which one was the most challenging, or which one do you remember the best from working on the show?
Oh God, I was on that show for a couple of years. They're all different in a way of like all the episodes, obviously, but they all blend the same because you're taking elements, fighting, swords. We're fighting dragons. We're hanging off the side of the roof. I had to do a roof jump with my friend Mike Carpenter all the way around when I was doubling Kyler. We're sliding along the edge when she becomes Supergirl in this like one flip episode. We're doing a whole whackload of things. But as for the budget, I don't know. They kind of keep that within Warner Brothers of what budgets are. But we had a lot of fun. We had shut down streets of downtown Vancouver filming just Supergirl episodes. And then sometimes we had crossover episodes where we had Arrow, Legends, where they're all a blend, and we would get like a whole corridor shut down and we're doing crazy stunts. There's like 25 of us. But the fun ones are they're all fun. I can't really say like one specific. Film fighting's great. I love it when anytime we get to incorporate, driving. We're doing like little skids and stuff like that in the car, and um, you're fighting outside, and you get like a crowd of people watching. It's kind of cool because you get the fans there, and they're just like, like shouting out things, and they love it. So it's kind of, I don't know, you kind of bounce off that energy a little bit. But the show itself, I had a blast. It was one of those shows where everyone actually really got along in a corny way. There was no fighting. When we get the scripts, obviously they would do the revised versions. We would go do a previs, sometimes in the studio or on location, come back. We had to tweak some of it. And then on the day, it was great because we would shoot the previs what we actually shot. So we're kind of taking the template, the recipe, and doing it on the day. So we had everything dialed down. We weren't kind of wasting time. We weren't figuring things out. It was already dialed right in. As a stunt team, we love that. For the actors, they loved it because they already got to see what we shot previously, and the director and the producers loved it because it was already kind of done for them in a way. And then the director gets to step in, do his thing, and put his signature on it, and do his little spin or her little spin here and there of what they like to add to the episode. But it was a great show to work on, I have to say. I had a blast.
And did you get a chance to take any mementos from the show? Any of the suits?
What did you steal? What did you steal, Lisa? What did you steal? Did you steal a costume? Did you steal a full outfit? What did you rob? Is the dog from the set?
Dog's not from the set. I might have the odd piece of clothing. I might have the odd pair of. I might
Shut
have.
up, Lisa. That is the greatest answer, and there's more. I'm a big fan. That is the greatest answer we've had on this show.
A wardrobe full.
I was more gifted these items. I did not steal them. Just in case,
I was gifted this pen from the local bookmakers. Yeah, I was gifted that too.
Well, Lisa, don't go anywhere. We're just going to have a quick message from our sponsors, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about Billy the Kid. See, is that a bit better? Is that a bit
There's
better?
a lot going on there. I was a big fan of that. That was all right, wasn't it?
Do you know what I mean? You just wanted to put your hands in the air like you just don't care. Right, so quickly, this is the sponsors' message. So our sponsors, as always, is a wonderful prop store. So if you're after a screen-used prop or costume piece from your favourite show, get in touch with Lisa because she's got the whole Supergirl wardrobe.
She's got loads. She'll sell it to you.
but if you can't get in touch with Lisa, propstore.com is the place to go. I'm going to bring up the details now. Visit them. Hang on.
Yep. But Brian, what if I wanted 10% off of the buy it now section?
Well, Dan, if you want the 10% off, my dear, all you've got to do is put it in a special code at the buy now section on propstore.com.
What's the code, Brian? What's the code?
Let me just bring it up.
What's the code, Brian? To get 10% off, Brian, what's the code?
There we go.
What's the code, Brian? Brian!
It's Brian 10. Nice and simple. Brian 10 will get you 10% off at propstore.com. They've got so many auctions coming up. They've got the Expanse auction that's coming up with all the costume pieces from the Expanse on Amazon Prime, as well as some awesome poster auctions. And they have got some items from Supergirl as well, by the way.
The ones at least didn't steal.
Yeah, stop it. She's not going to come back. Right, so visit propstore.com to get 10% off Brian 10. They're great sponsors. We're going to be getting them on the show very, very soon to talk about their upcoming Expanse auction, which I'm so excited about. It's such an awesome show. We're going to even try and get some of... Yeah, and I'm even going to try and get some actors from the show, like Shohreh Aghdashloo, who is absolutely adorable to interview. I don't even know what that is. She's trying to put me off now. Right, let's go back to Lisa to talk about Billy the Kid. Hello.
Lisa, he does really well. He's such a consummate professional, isn't he, Lisa? He does really well every week.
So
it's great. I just want to say, can I just say a little story here for a quick second?
100%.
Okay. You're talking about Prop Store.
Yeah.
You want to hear a quick little Side
Oh my
story.
God, yeah,
Yeah, go.
100%.
Okay. I was working on a show called Alter Carbon. They made a
Yeah.
full body cast of myself. Okay. Bing, bing, bang, boom. Full body cast. The person who casted me unfortunately passed away. So his collection was sold on an auction. And I bought myself. I have
Um,
a full body cast of myself. And I gotta say, my dog was not too happy about that when he came in the house. But I picked it up. I drove it in the front seat in the HOV lane.
oh my God.
And I have a full, yeah, it's crazy. And the detail of this beautiful specimen is amazing. Eyebrow, hair on the head. It's bleach blonde because it's from the show.
Mhm.
The clothing that I had to wear, because in the show, I basically fall to my death. And I'm wearing almost like a shirt like what I got on. I don't want to be a pirate.
Mhm.
Anyways, I'm wearing a shirt like that in it, and it's covered in dirt, but it's still the same. But I contemplated putting it back up on auction. So you kind of just got me my brain.
Well, do you know
Well,
what? If you need contacts for Prop Store, their auctions are incredible. Me and Dan, we go down to the London one. They've got one in LA. Yeah, they're brilliant. Absolutely amazing pieces. I'm really surprised that me and Dan are allowed down to headquarters because we had to play with
because
quite a
Brad
lot of
Pitt.
pieces. Yeah, Brad
Yeah,
Pitt.
there was. One of my favourite things to do, Lisa. I'm sorry, I've turned into a mosaic. I think the internet's gone on my house. But the Brad Pitt, they've got a cast of Brad Pitt there, and you're right, the detail there is absolutely insane. But I've got this thing where if I lick it, I own it. So I now own Brad Pitt. I now own a Xenomorph, a massive one, and Captain America shield. So licked it, owned it. That's the rules, right?
Do you know what,
So
Dan? I
if
think we've got to keep an
if
eye
you
on
go
you.
into a store, you lick it, you're like, that's it. I own it. I gotta buy it now.
Just walk up, that's mine now.
You do that in a bar? You lick the bottle of tequila?
Yeah.
It's a bottle.
Well, do you know what? Let's keep an eye out on your cast. I mean, where is it currently now? Is it like in the window doing a Home Alone thing, where like when you're out, you could put it on like a train set and it moves around, or
Just like,
You filthy animal.
I really was gonna put it in a glass case and use it as a coffee table, and I was like, no, that's just too weird. But I have it
Why?
stored
That's
at a
awesome.
proper facility.
Lisa,
it's
that's
like
an incredible idea. It's so funny. That is so funny.
You put your feet on me. That's okay. But no, it's at a storage facility and it's laying right. But I contemplated literally selling. I was like, should I keep it? Should I sell it? I don't know. Should I make like a film out of it? I don't know. So you got the
Thing
wheels
is, the
turning.
way I look at it is that there's going to be people out there that absolutely adore Alton Carbon because it is an amazing show. It really is.
Yeah. And it was season 1.
The second one I didn't like, to be fair. the first season was a hell of a lot better. But no,
I like season 2 is a different storyline, but this one, the body one was from season 1. But yeah, it was.
But there's going to be fans out there that would actually die to get their hands on your. But that sounds wrong, doesn't it? But you know what I mean. To have it on display and to say that you've got it. So Dan's making notes. I don't know what's happening with your internet, Dan. It's like you're one of those filters that you get on Canva. You know where you want to make it. Yeah. So let's talk about Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid. That is why we're here. I've got a picture of Billy here from Billy the Kid. Can I tell you an interesting fact? Tom Blythe, that plays Billy the Kid, grew up literally 2 minutes walk from me.
No way.
In Nottingham, in Woodthorpe.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he was born in Birmingham, then moved to Nottingham, and then went up to Yorkshire, your neck of the woods, Dan. But
my end.
So this follows the story of Billy the Kid, and I've got to say, anything Western since Yellowstone and the resurgence of all these Westerns, I think this is why they're so popular. So if you could tell us a bit about Susan McSween and how you come across this role, because it's such a great character.
Yeah, so this one was a blast. I got to leave the stunt bag at home. There was no stunts for me, so it was just acting. It was a nice little break on the old muscles and body. So yeah, Susan McSween. She's um, from real life. She's not fiction. There I am playing the old piano. Yeah, so she was married to a gentleman, Alexander McSween, and Alexander McSween was a lawyer that was hired basically to represent Billy and the boys in the fight against the Santa Fe rings. So
Mm-hmm.
we're on the good side. Let's just say that. So I'm married to Alexander McSween, and the war, which is called the Lincoln County War, takes place actually in our house. So I don't know if you saw Young Guns back in the day.
Yeah.
It was so old school, but it's a great film. But the war basically takes place within our house as well as in the streets. It's a drawn out war over a couple of years, 1878 to 81. But the actual standoff war was in our home. So she, after her, I don't want to say any spoilers, but it's already in history. But her husband passes away during the war, and then she became a ranch handler. She got enough funds to buy a couple cows. She kind of rolled into 10, 20, 30, and then she became actually known as the cattle queen of New Mexico. And she had a huge head of cattle, one of the largest in the states, and she was the only woman to do that. So she was kind of a
Right.
badass way back in the day. Yeah,
I
and
mean,
that was
I
very
think
unheard of.
I think the count is at one point she was rumored to have had over 8,000
Yep.
cattle, which is just
Yeah,
incredible.
it's
It
a lot.
really, yeah. So, what sort of research? I mean, obviously, you know a lot about the character, but what sort of research or preparation did you do for this role? Because it's a bit different than modern day. So, I mean, what sort of research did you have to do to get into character?
I dove into everything that was posted on Wikipedia, everything online. I read texts from old articles from Lincoln, New Mexico. I got a book from Kathleen Chamberlain, I believe is her last name. She wrote a book called In the Shadows of Billy the Kid, and it's all about Susan. So when I discovered this, I was like, I gotta buy this. So I literally read everything about it. She also has an audiobook, so I would walk the dog, listen to bits of the audio, and there's some letters that she wrote to her family back home from while she was traveling across the country. And then she basically wrote love letters to her husband as well. She was in the local newspaper, so anything that was kind of historian facts put together in the book, she published it. So it was great. So I got to dive into that. I found out that she was also a pianist. I did a little bit of piano growing up, so it was kind of nice to dive back onto the piano keys, I guess you'd say. I had a
This
friend
is
who was
this is what I was going to ask. Obviously, MGM has given me the access to the last 4 episodes, so I've seen them. So I'm not going to spoil anything. But wow,
I haven't seen
wow,
them, so great that you've seen them.
what have you not seen them yet?
So
No,
fancy.
Wow.
no.
Well, there is some
I,
piano
Yeah,
I,
playing.
I this because I had to do some ADR stuff.
Yeah.
But no, you've obviously had the pleasure of watching.
There is some piano playing in it. So was that actually you playing the piano, or was it really? It's such a
Yeah.
great scene. It's such a
Thanks.
lovely scene. It really, really is. I mean, how true to the story is this show? Because I know that some shows fabricate things, but how true is it to the real story?
It's pretty damn true. When I was reading the script, there was bits of dialogue that some of the boys had. Boys meaning on the good side. The boys. I think John Waite had a couple lines that was taken from actual letters that Susan had in the book that I was reading. There was a couple lines that Luke Camilleri, who plays my husband, Alexander McSween, there's a couple lines in the book that I was reading that was in the script that Michael Hirsch wrote. So it was kind of great to see actual excerpts from history put into the script. But as for it being accurate, there's a little dial here and there, but it's pretty damn close to history. I want to say it's Yeah, everybody, all the characters, if you look them up online, we have when you walk into the office in the production hall, in the production room, there's a hallway with all the photos from history of the characters, and then all of our headshots below. So it's kind of cool when you walk down, you can see everybody, and when it's pretty close. The storylines are
Yes.
very close. Um, the way the house was designed, the way the house was structured, what was in the house, lamps, rugs, where they're brought from, piano, everything that was brought in, pretty damn close.
Okay,
Yeah.
speaking of close, then that's a great little segue. Speaking of close, everybody, especially females that wear these corsets and these outfits, and talking about close, how much can you actually breathe in that costume?
So the costumes that all of us had to wear, they wanted to keep them as authentic to reality what they wore then as possible. So everything was wool, nothing was synthetic fibers. The corset was cinched pretty tight. Obviously, we can loosen it here and there during lunch.
You one
Um,
cheese sandwich away from having to
Yes,
reshoot
exactly.
tonight.
But it was hard to get back in, but they were tight. It was hot during the summer and cold in the winter. I had full on handmade leather boots
Wow.
that went right below my knee. Beautiful, just stunning. And in the book that I was reading and just, articles online, she wore clothing, pieces of clothing, boots, belts that just matched everything. So they lined it up very well, very well. But yeah, it was hot summer days wearing full wool pantyhose, petticoats, corsets, and then the gown, then a hat. So it was a lot, but it makes you in character though. Like if
Yeah,
you were to
yeah.
just wear
Kinda helps.
sweatpants underneath or like leggings, I don't know. I can't really do that. I have to feel the whole. It's like I don't know. It's like putting on the hockey equipment, going out. You don't just put
You're like ready for
the
battle.
whole thing on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm,
So it was
Yeah, yeah.
it was an
Brian
amazing
was Prince
experience to
Charming in
wear
a
that.
pantomime once. Brian played Prince Charming in a pantomime, so I guess he felt dashing and daring, and
I didn't play Prince Charming. I
did you
was
know?
no, I was Captain Cringe, the pirate. So I was the
You
main
called
pirate.
Captain Cringe.
Yeah,
Hang
yeah,
on a minute.
yeah.
Sorry, Lisa, just
But
bear with me.
what?
I'm
But
going to need to
what
tease
I
him
was going to
about that
say,
in the future. Just
yeah,
Captain
what I was going to
Crunch
say
or
is that
Cringe.
Captain Cringe. Um, what I was what I was going to say. To be fair, I thought I was going to be playing Bosun Muck. So when I went to the actual reading, the table read, I started to read for Bosun Muck, and the director said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm reading for Bosun Muck," and she went, "No, you're Captain Cringe." This is a pantomime, so people over the pond don't know what a pantomime is, but it's like a show, and it's normally based around fairy tales, and it's put on at Christmas, and it's
Have you ever
where all
spent any
families
time in
come.
the UK, Lisa? Have you ever spent any time in the UK and
Scotland.
caught a pantomime?
Scotland, yes, a little bit, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're very difficult to explain. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like when you try, oh, so what's a pantomime? Well, it's where the audience starts screaming stuff, but it's all based
Yeah,
around a grim
I
fairy
know,
tale.
I know of it. Yes, for sure.
Okay,
But there is
okay.
usually
So
a man dressed as a woman in the petticoats that you describe, usually actually as well. To bring this full circle, and Brian was the dashing, and I checks
Captain
notes,
Cringe, yeah.
Captain Cringe. So
In Dick Whittington. In Dick Whittington, the panto. But anyway, so as I was saying, so this show, the attention to detail is incredible. It really, really is. There's not a Starbucks cup in sight. So what I want to ask is, how strict are they on set of when you've got into your costume to make sure that no one brings anything that's not around that time of Billy the Kid? Because there's so many people on set. Those sets are massive. I mean,
Mhm.
what is it like? I mean, do you have to go through like quality control checks? I mean, what does it look like?
Oh wow, Game of Thrones is not going to let that one down, eh?
No.
Um, no, we had a full town that was built. We had about, I think, 25 stores on the main corridor. And there's another street that had about 10 shops as well. And then at the back side, there's about 15 stores, a church, where Murphy's store is on the main street, really. So everything was very, yeah, no coffee cups left around, no cell phones, none of that. We would have holding, as we call it, on the side, but it was pretty strict about what you could and could not, you know, have on set. Just, you know, you don't want to have the whole Starbucks coffee cup situation while you're rolling.
Does
Um,
make you famous for the wrong reasons, doesn't it?
Or during a really tense scene, someone's phone goes off. It just won't make sense. But talking about
yeah.
tense scenes, Lisa, you have some wonderful
Oh,
scenes coming up in part two. Have you got you know, a favorite scene or favorite person that you've acted opposite? Because you have some great scenes opposite quite a few of the
mhm.
characters. I don't want to spoil it again. You know, maybe the army or maybe someone else. I mean,
Have
who
you got your
knows?
graphic to put up, Brian? Because I can feel like, your spoiler alert graphic. Have you got it? Just in
There
case.
you go.
There we
There
are.
you
So
go.
so we're covered now. We're covered. We can talk about what we
Yeah,
want now. That
yeah.
makes it
No,
all
no,
right.
no. So yeah. So have you got a favorite scene?
I have a couple favorite scenes, but it was more like ensemble cast style, where it was just all of us. And I don't want to spoil anything, but oh God, how do I say this without spoiling it?
We put the graphic
Um,
up, so it's okay. So we're all right.
Things going south. Let's just say that those were my favorite scenes, just because the stakes were just so high, and there's a lot going on screen. Let's just say that.
And
But as for working with somebody specific,
mm,
uh, no, I there was a couple really good moments that I had with the army that I really liked, that I that Susan really kind of marched, you know, stood her ground. But yeah, I feel like the whole ensemble of it all near the end of 7/8 was pretty strong. I don't want to say too much. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
those scenes literally were amazing. They're electrifying. So I mean, obviously you're an accomplished stunt performer, but you're a stunning actress as well. So which
Thank you.
one do you find more rewarding to actually do?
Oh, great question. Rewarding. It's hard because they're so different, but they're both on screen.
Mm,
They're so like I'm using one part of my brain for stunts, calculating everything, safety, this, do that, do, 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 do. And then the other part of my brain is not even in that world at all. It's all about emotion, listening, that, you know, all the actor beats and all that stuff. So they're so different. As for rewarding, being creative in this and letting, you know, the soul breathe, the acting part, absolutely. It's so fulfilling. As for me being physical, which I love doing, that's a big part of who I am. The stunts fulfills that. I can't even, you know, talk about how gratifying that is when I can do something and walk away unharmed and I'm hitting my marks and everything like that. It's so satisfying. But they're just so different. It's so hard to like put them into the same category. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's in the same medium. Like they're both on screen, television, film, doesn't really matter, but they're very, very different. It's like saying an editor to a director, you know, what do you prefer? Like they're both so different, even though they're both film, they're both
mm,
television. You know what
mm.
I mean? But um, I get a I get a lot of joy out of acting. I get a lot of joy of just like sitting, listening, having a scene, you know, talking with another actor, hitting beats, you know. And I also love, you know, getting ratcheted back into a wall and then spitting out some dialogue here and there. It's a high. It's a natural high, right? I don't know if it's natural. You're kind of forcing it, but but
Yeah,
it's fun,
I'd be
you
happy.
know.
Whichever
Hey,
the shortest days are, you know what I mean. You know, like you can do those quick stunts where you're only on set for like an hour. I'd be like, yep,
yeah,
that one, 100%
whatever's
the time.
fastest to crafty. Let's just say that.
I mean, in this show, we see some scenes with fire.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to ask, what was that like? Because
One.
you know, you having a stunt background, I bet you were cool as a cucumber, and everyone else was panicking. I mean, how was that? How was that shot? I mean, it looked incredible. and
Yeah.
this is what people have got to look forward to. But they know that it's happening because they see at the beginning of season 2 the little montage of Billy the Kid coming out of the house that's on fire. So I'm not spoiling it for everyone, but it's a great scene.
No.
But what was that like to film around?
It was
Because
great.
it looked crazy.
It was crazy. Brent Woolsey was the stunt coordinator for the show for both seasons, and he had some pyrotechnicians that came out. We had lights actually at the front of the house that were flashing to give the signal on screen that was the flame, and then they edited in later. But then we actually had real fire. They built a completely separate house down the road that they were burning. So they had basically it's like a gas chamber, kind of looks like a cylinder that they place at the bottom of the window, and it's a propane bar, and it basically has flames coming in and out, and they can dial it down, dial it up, and it was just a ripping. So we're inside the house, things are happening. I don't want to give too much away, but according to history, I'm sure you could look it up. But it was they did a phenomenal job. But yeah, it was pretty cool to kind of be around it, be in the house, having so much mayhem going on. Everyone's actually pretty cool as a cucumber. You mentioned that, but everyone's pretty cool still. After a couple takes, people were like, "Oh, okay, this is how it's going to be." Okay, and I think because they're just so safe and they had it, dialed down to just a low roar, and then they kind of ripped it up. Everyone understood. Okay, so this is when it gets bigger. This is when it gets lower. So people were just more in a chill state around it, but everybody crushed it. It was great.
So Susan
marry both
McSween.
worlds there.
What's that?
Sorry?
I'm just saying you get to marry both worlds, the stunt acting and the acting. That's we were talking earlier, the question before about, which one do you prefer? That one, because it's both.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, when we talk about Susan McSween, she actually passed away in real life at the age of 85, which I think is incredible because for that time of, the period, the average living age was a hell of a lot lower.
Yes.
So we've got season 2. Is there any rumblings of season 3 yet? And if there is, would you want Susan McSween to come back for season 3?
Absolutely. I don't know anything yet about season 3. Would I love Susan to come back? Absolutely.
Can I interest you in Susan McSween having 2 big, strong Northern boys as her like ranch handlers that just get wheeled out and you just go and just like these are my big fellas, and you go and we just do this.
Oh, do you know?
And that's it. We can nail that.
Do you know what? I used to actually dress up as a cowboy. Do you remember, Dan, at Butlins? I was called Willie Fix-It. And I had a cowboy hat.
I'm just going to add that to Captain Cringe.
And I had a boiler's outfit, and I had like a belt, like a tool belt, and I was like a cowboy that would fix things. Do you remember? And
cowboy handyman. Of course you were, because that's what all kids want to be. What do you want to be? I want to be a spaceman millionaire. What about you? I want to be football playing oil baron. What about you? Cowboy handyman.
But do you know what, Lisa? Just down the road from me, there used to be an amazing theme park called American Adventure. And it was all based around cowboys and Indians, and it was all based around that time. And they actually built like an OK Corral, and they had a stunt show, and they had a stunt team there that would literally jump off the top of buildings onto like hay and I used to go like literally near enough every weekend with my dad because I was fascinated by it, and I was the lad there with my cowboy guns and my hat, just watching them in awe. So cowboys for me, I just think, I would love to go back to that era, but for one day, but only if I could have the reassurance that I wasn't going to get shot or bitten or something like that, because it was a dangerous time. It really was. But I'm looking at the time.
Funny, in South Florida and in Orlando, they used to have at what's it called? What's the big theme park there called?
Frontierland or something.
Universal Studios. They used to have like a whole they had a water world and a western, and then you would sit in the sit down in the seats. I would say auditorium, but it was outside. But they had people would like run up, do falls, high falls off the back side,
That's
smack
what
each
Brian's
other.
talking about, but
Yes, we
significantly
like have
shitter.
the sugar bottles and smash them, but it was so cool
Yeah,
to watch back then. Yeah, that's so neat
yeah.
that they have that there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the stunt performers, even though they did very, very well, they weren't the greatest. So you actually worried for them when they fell off the top of the building. It was
Yeah,
like a middle-aged man that like literally just filled
Yeah.
out the job application and just
he's like
can
an
you jump off the
accountant during
building?
the day, but does this during like the weekend.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what it was. Because what happened was around that time when Brian was that age going to there, that's when Margaret Thatcher closed all the pits. So a lot of burly blokes looking for work. So they all went down to the American Adventure Theme Park in Derbyshire and just went, hey up, Duck, you got any work? You're like, yeah, just jump off this rooftop. We'll pay you 50 quid a weekend. All right, see you later. Jump. And that'd be it. And then, they never got up again.
Bless him.
Wow! Oh my
So
goodness.
before we bid farewell, Lisa, what is next for you? What are you doing at the moment? Is it a case of putting your feet up and enjoying the part 2 of Billy the Kid, or are you working at the moment?
Yeah, I'm kind of just you know playing here and there, doing different things. I have this a thriller horror that's coming out soon in July, so
Are
that one
you are you
long.
actually on that cover? You know the cover that we sit. Is that you? Because I
Yeah,
was looking at the face. I was trying to like enlarge it, and I thought that looks a bit like Lisa. And
yeah,
you've got to look. Is it the Nicolas Cage one?
correct. Yeah, long
Yeah.
legs. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it looks. The poster is a bit
It,
like disturbing, to be fair.
they've done an amazing job with the trailer, even just showing a trailer without showing you the movie.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like there's a
Right.
lot of people that are like, "What? I
Big
just
time.
watched a trailer for like 2 minutes, but I still don't know what it's about." But I'm still, mystified by the whole. Anyways, it's um, it's amazing. I have to say, it's scared the crap out of me when I watched it. When I read the script, I was thinking, "Huh, this is interesting. Okay, um, all right, let's do this. Let's shoot this." So I was kind of double dipping on that. I was stunt doubling Micah as well as playing mother camera. So I was kind of doing both. So I would show up to different locations, stunt driving this old car, the steering wheel came off. Geez, okay, put it back on. just like, okay, what's happening with this? These locations. I'm trying to piece together the mind basically of Oz Perkins, and he crushed it. Crushed this film. Like it's so good. It's different. It's very different in a way of how he shot it. It has I believe he shot half film, half digital, if I'm not mistaken. Just the way he blended, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s together in a really eerie way. The music that he used, the costumes, costume designer was also named Micah. She crushed it, and just it just has like a very disturbing feeling, but you're still like drawn into it in a weird
Yeah.
way.
I'm in.
Anyways,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
If you're into horror thriller, go watch Long Legs. I gotta
definitely,
say.
I'm in.
definitely, and
Sold.
we'll feature a review on
I,
that
I
on the
haven't seen
show.
something like this in a very, very long time. Yeah.
Awesome,
I'm
awesome.
defo in.
Yeah.
Lisa, you've been a great guest. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. Don't go away because we'll say goodbye properly. But for everyone that's been watching, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like the video, and we're going to be back next week with Sonia Valga from For All Mankind. I just had to think then. And New Life, which is a new movie. But thank you so much. Keep safe and stay super.
Thanks for having me.